Welcome, Julie, Mary Lou, Catherine, Pam. I'm happy to have you here on this Tuesday evening. Oh, Julie, you're in Kokomo, Indiana. Thank you for sharing. You can share right now, anytime during the live presentation, as well as after, or anytime you're watching a replay. And each time you do that, please know that it does help me expand my reach to other people, other paper crafters, and I greatly appreciate it. Quick reminder that this weekend I will be getting my August to December mini catalogs ready to mail out. So if you are a customer of mine who purchased from me since January of this year, you will automatically receive one. If you are a demonstrator, you should have or will be soon getting one from the Stampin' Up! Company. And if you do not have a demonstrator of your own or are not currently working with a demonstrator, I would love to earn your business. And the first thing I can do to earn your business is to send you a complimentary catalog. So all you have to do is message me with your full name, your address, and your email, and I will get one in the mail to you. So I had planned a fun fold card for tonight and just decided that I'm going to go ahead and do a sneak peek of one of the designer series papers from the holiday catalog. So I have this sample to show you. I want to show you some of the products first from the Snowflake Splendor suite. Let me double check that name. Yes, the Snowflake Splendor suite. So it starts with this wonderful designer series paper. All of the patterns throughout are snowflakes and watercolors and lots of blues. Isn't that pretty? You can see all the watercolor behind the white snowflakes. Pool party. Little mini snowflakes there. So you see that common theme of snowflakes of various shapes and sizes, as well as some beautiful watercolor backgrounds throughout the entire package. And in addition to the DSP, it has the wonderful Snowflake Wishes bundle, which is this stamp set. And please note that in order to fit all of the images on the front, they did shrink the size of the images a bit. So the stamps are actually larger. Trying to match them up here. The snowflakes are actually larger, as well as the sentiments. Here's this one, and here's the coordinating stamp. Okay, so just be aware of that. And it has this awesome set of coordinating dies to go with it. And so there's 6-7 different snowflake dies. Some of them will cut out snowflakes from the DSP and or the stamp set, but it's really this one that intrigued me so much, this label with the snowflake accents. So we'll be working with this tonight because I want to show you how to use that. And then we also have the Winter Snow Embossing folder. We're not using it tonight, but that's going to be lots of fun to work with. And then we have two embellishments in the Snowflake Splendor suite. The first one is this ribbon, and it's sort of like an iridescent. Somebody mentioned Northern Lights, kind of has that effect. All right. So that'll be fun to work with. And then we also have the blue adhesive back gems. And they come in two different sizes, large and small, but some are more true blue and the others are kind of a blue-green with a gold tint to them. So they're really beautiful, very sparkly and fun. So those are all the products in the suite. And now let's take a look at the Fun Fold card. Okay, so that's our Fun Fold card. And the Fun Fold card is actually made of 3 parts. The card base or card front, which is just cardstock and DSP layer. What I like to call a mini card. When closed, that mini card measures 4 1/4 by 3 1/4 inches. And then this top label area. And of course, stamping a fun envelope adds to the excitement for your card recipient. So I've got my pieces pre-cut. I'm going to be using Pacific Point cardstock, and this is going to be the base. So it measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. So this is the same size as our standard folded A2 card. So 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. And then I've cut a piece of designer series paper that measures 4 inches by 5 1/4. You can see either side of this paper would work so well with that Pacific Point cardstock. And you'll find that because of the watercolor effect and the variations and blends of colors on all of the papers, many of the DSPs you'll be able to use with more than just one color of cardstock. So this is my card base. This is part 1. Part 2, you'll need a piece of matching cardstock that measures 3 1/4 by 8 1/2 inches. 3 1/4 by 8 1/2 inches. And then I scored it at 4 1/4 to create this nice fold here. And that's going to go on top like this. Before I attach that though, I'm going to go ahead and complete the mini card. So I have a piece of coordinating, not matching, but coordinating DSP for the front of the mini card. And this measures 3 inches by 4 inches. Adhere that well. And then I have a piece of Whisper White cardstock for the inside of the card, and that too measures 3 inches by 4 inches. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead now and adhere this to the front. One thing I want to show you is you can decide where exactly you want this different, this mini card. On the first one I made, I have it closer to the left side. You could put it closer to the right side. You could put it dead center. And I think that's what I'm going to do on this card, just for a little variation from my sample. When I will say, before I put that on though, you may want to consider what you're putting on the front. So for example, with this one, I have this label, so it's actually centered with my card base. Okay, so it's a little bit, hangs off a little bit more on one side than the other. When I have it, the mini card in the center, it'll pretty much, hang off on both sides evenly. If I were doing something like a circle punch and I wanted to put it off to the side, I might scoot this mini card over a little bit more. Or I might have it in the center and center this on top. Just think about that. So that's why I'm not actually putting all the pieces together until I've completed all three parts. Part 1, part 2, and this is part 3. Now for part 3, what I want to show you is that when you are using this label die, and it's got labels and then some little snowflake accents, you're actually cutting out a window. And it's this window piece that you're using. This is what's left over. So chances are you aren't going to be using that for your focal point, okay? Maybe a little piece of scrap paper or something, but it's the window you want to think about. So what I did and these, I have a white and a Pacific Point cardstock pieces, and they both measure 2 3/4 by 4.5 inches. So what I did, and I won't take this off camera, is I just measured it. I just laid it out against my table ruler, and that's where I came up with the dimensions 2 3/4 by 4.5. So the Pacific Point is going to be on top because I want to be able to stamp on the white underneath. Now you may even put a different color, maybe a lighter blue, or one of the very subtle watercolor backgrounds. You might want to use that in place of this, okay? Just be aware that whatever you put on the back, you will see some of it if it's hanging over that mini card. Get this in here a little bit better. And I know I've shared this tip in the past, but some of you may not have seen that when I did it. Whenever you're cutting using dies that have straight edges like these, instead of sending them in parallel or straight on through your die cutting machine, turn them at an angle. What happens is if you have them going in like this, it makes the machine kind of jump over that, and then you don't get clear cuts on those details. But if you simply turn your paper and your die at an angle so that it goes through and cuts all these pieces, but it doesn't take that jump because it's not going over one long flat section. And I promise you it works really well if you do that. The rectangle dies are a good example of that. The square dies, put them through at an angle and they will cut perfectly for you. If you try to put them through straight, you're going to get the loud thumping noise and you're not going to get those good cuts that we need. So there's my window that I told you about. This cuts out really well. I mean, I haven't even used the die brush, and I just have a couple of small, teeny tiny pieces that cut out. I really noticed that since we've gone to the new manufacturer with our dies, they just cut so much better. Oftentimes they just fall right out of the die. So I love that. Okay. Now, the sentiment I'm using, Snowflake Wishes for a Merry Christmas, is from the Snowflake Wishes set. And you can see there are several others in here. There's even a Happy Hanukkah. And I'm going to pull this out. The Pacific Point is quite bold. And oops, got my fingers right in that. Quite bold in comparison to the pool party I used on the sample. Now with this, I'm going to make a suggestion because on here, I just eyeballed it on the white as far as centering the sentiment on there. I stamped before I put that die cut window on top, but I just eyeballed it. You can see, and it's not bad. You can still read it clearly, but I wished I had it scooted over just a smidge. So what I'm going to suggest is that you take a pencil, you line up these two pieces of cardstock with the die cut on top, and you just make a tiny little dot at those corner points. Just use a pencil, make it light enough that you can erase it. That way you have a better idea of where the sentiment needs to fall. Because if you'll notice, those corner points don't have the same distance between the left and right sides. Okay, this one's a little bit further from the left side than this one is from the right side. So I think that's what kind of messed me up. Oops, and because this is a photopolymer stamp set, I want to pull out my Stampin' Pierce mat to make sure I get a nice, clean stamped image. That looks good. Now I'm going to just erase those little dots. They don't show through. It's just, you know, just so light on there that you can see them, but yet erase and nobody knows that you even did that step. Okay. So now I'm going to adhere this. I'm trying to think. The other one, I think I'm going to use dimensionals on this one, some mini dimensionals. On my sample, I just adhered that flat to the stamped white cardstock. But let's see what it looks like if we... I'm going to put a lot of dimensionals on just because I want those edges of the window to truly pop off the paper. Pop off the white cardstock, I should say. When I'm doing this, I'm also being careful not to cover up any of those little holes because you want the white cardstock to show through those holes to look like little snowflakes. As I was saying, I hope that you can see the difference here of what it looks like to adhere the snowflake window on top of the white cardstock directly as opposed to popping it up with the mini dimensionals. Okay, so now I have all three parts. Pam, thank you so much. You're worth waiting for. You know, I often think that. I'm like, are people coming back? You know, that would be horrible if Facebook Live interrupted me and I went out and got back on and nobody joined me. So thank you for coming back. You know, that's one of those things with Facebook we have no control over. So I'm very happy that you are so patient and that you came back to finish the live video with me. So now I have all three parts of my fun fold card completed. Part 1, part 2, part 3. Okay, and now I'm ready to put these together. And as I said earlier, feel free to just kind of lay the second and third pieces out in different ways on your card base. So you saw in my first sample that I put the mini card off towards the left side. And this time I'm putting it right in the center, right in the middle. And then I'm going to put this right in the middle as well. I'm trying to think, do I want it up a little bit or down? I think I want it right in the center. Yes. So keep in mind that you need to put the adhesive only on the parts that will go on the front of that mini card. If you have adhesive going all the way to the end of your labels, you'll end up sticking this front to here and your card won't open, and that's no good. Unless you want to play a trick on somebody, I guess. Okay. Now I think we should add a little bling. I personally think we should go for the blue adhesive back gems. And on the first card with the pool party, I use this because I think it has a little more green hue to it, green and gold. And I think for this card, I want to use these ones that are more of a true blue. So I'm going to pick up a few here. I'm not sure where I want things. Well, maybe in the center there. Maybe I'll try that, putting them in the center of these 3 snowflakes. That'll be a little change from the first card. Okay, so I used 3 there. I have 1, 2, 3. I think I'm actually going to add just a couple more, 2 more. I'm going to put one up here, and I'm going to put one down below here. And there's my completed card. So what do you think? Okay. Really quite simple fun fold card to make, and I think it would be a great go-to card layout or card sketch or a go-to fun fold. Just because it's so easy. It is one that will basically work with any stamp set, any designer series paper. And even if you're doing something much smaller than this, an accent piece, perhaps I would have done just a stamped snowflake and punched it with circles and used that in place of this big label. That would be ideal too. There's so many great things you can do. I did think the, what's it called? Freeze and Fun stamp set and dies would be a fun one to coordinate with this Snowflake Splendor designer series paper. So perhaps next time I make one, instead of doing a large label, maybe I'll just cut out stamp color and punch out die cut 2 or 3 of these little characters and stick them on my mini card front. So a lot of fun there. Thank you for being with me on your Tuesday evening. I hope your evening is restful and that you're feeling happy and at peace. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Keep in mind the Snowflake Splendor suite with all its products, as well as the Freeze and Fun bundle that I just showed you, will be available for you to purchase beginning August 4th. That's the first day that our holiday catalog goes live. And I will be getting those catalogs ready to put in the mail this weekend, and they will go in the mail, go to the post office sometime next week. So, of course, it's always more fun to hold that catalog in your hands than to look online. At least I think so. Anyways, I'm glad you like the cards. Have a great evening. I'll see you soon.